The U.S. economy grew faster than originally thought in the third quarter of this year, despite rising interest rates and high inflation. Gross domestic product rose at an annualized pace of 2.9%. In English, that means the total value of all the goods and services produced in the United States grew from July through September. The number is actually higher than the original estimate of 2.6%. Not what you'd expect if a recession was on the horizon. Maybe. Hours after we got that news, Fed Chair Jerome Powell hinted that the central bank will slow its pace of interest rate hikes.
The time for moderating the pace of rate increases may come as soon as the December meeting. Given our progress in tightening policy, the timing of that moderation is far less significant than the questions of how much further we will need to raise rates to control inflation and the length of time it will be necessary to hold policy at a restrictive level.
Again, in English, what Powell was saying is the Fed may raise interest rates by 0.5 percentage point in December instead of the 3/4 point hikes they've been putting in place. Those aggressive moves are aimed at curbing inflation, which has remained stubbornly high for more than a year. Beth Ann Bovino joins me now. She is the chief economist for S&P Global Ratings. Beth Ann, so we heard what Chairman Powell said. What do you make of what he said?
Well, I think he's hopeful. I think that, of course, he holds the keys, or the Fed holds the keys, but one of the things that they're hoping for is a soft landing by pulling back on interest rates. That is one thing that can be done. That is certainly one thing that could be done. However, the risk, of course, is that, well, one thing, if they go too slow, if they cut back too soon, then the risk is inflation does still get ahead of them, and the situation will be even worse. We still think that because of the affordability squeeze, both with high interest rates and also high prices, a recession next year is almost inevitable.
So I want to ask you about the recession being almost inevitable, but remind us again what a soft landing is or what he hopes to have happen in his wildest dreams.
Well, I'd also like to note that even though Chair Powell, and look, I respect what they do. It's a hard job. Nobody likes them right now. But Chair Powell and the team is looking for is a soft landing, meaning that growth will slow, pushing down pressure on prices, but not enough to tip the U.S. economy into a recession. They expect to see slow growth, and they do also expect to see higher unemployment, a weaker jobs market, but they also think that everybody's going to keep their jobs. Now, that is a possibility, but we think, though, at this point in time, with all the pressure coming from on all sides, we think it's very unlikely.
So if you think it's unlikely, help me understand why things seem to look good in some sense. So growth is up. The stock market is feeling good. People apparently are spending in this holiday season. The job market is strong. So we'll stop there at those. So those are all good numbers. So why do those good numbers mean we're going to have a recession?
Well, first, I want to mention one thing that Chair Powell tried to avoid. It's one thing that he had said earlier is that, yes, indeed, the window in order to get to a soft landing is narrowing, and he still admits that. So again, we just think it's probably going to shut. In terms of so the U.S. economy is holding up relatively well in the second half of this year, and that is a positive in the third quarter. Right. However, some of the worries we see, again, that affordability pressure that we see in the data. One thing, the housing market is in recession at this point in time. And what that means, people don't need to spend on appliances and furniture. That gets pulled back. Services are holding up at this in the fourth quarter, and so is holiday spending. But when we look at those holiday spending numbers, it in real terms is well in negative territory. That means that people aren't getting enough out of the dollar. Purchasing power is squeezed. And what that means eventually, as demand starts to drop off, households, once they get all those bills from the holiday excesses, the hangover hits. And that's when we think it will hit next year.
And so what does that look like? And if I can tack on a second question at the end here, can you have a soft landing and a recession at the same time?
Depends on semantics,
just to give you a jargon sandwich there.
We would call a soft landing a low growth, sometimes even called a low growth recession, meaning growth is still positive, but it's getting close to zero. That's probably would be a soft landing. But in technical terms, a hard landing is when First, we see the U.S. economy contract, as what I at S&P and I, as a U.S. chief economist at S&P Global, expects. That means that the U.S. will just get smaller. The pie shrinks. We think it's going to be a shallow recession, and it won't last that long. That's a positive. But in our scenario, we do see not just businesses cut back on hires.
Right.
We also think layoffs will also come in play. That means we expect to see that unemployment rate climb up about 2%, which means about 3 million more people unemployed.
So unemployment, but not catastrophic.
It's going to hurt those people who are unemployed, but not nearly what we went through during the pandemic or the Great Recession, when unemployment rate was 3 times what our forecast is for today.
All right, Beth Ann Bovino, thank you so much for being here.